Okay, are you ready? Are you ready to hear Snook, for his own words, describe what he does in his business practices? Let's take a listen.
Years, I've got a clean conscience. When I go destroy a prosecutor or someone, I've always given them a chance not to go there. So I did this with Sloan, both Sloan and Mortensen. I told them, I said, that you're not going to like what happens here. I said, go on with life, forget you ever knew me. I'm doing what you wanted me to do. Just get out of my life. And this is even after their false complaints that was, and I think 3 weeks ago I got a call from Chris again. And all
Okay.
years I've
Hang tight, let me get the next clip. So right there he just said, for years he has a clean conscience. When he goes to destroy a prosecutor or a judge or whoever, he has a clean conscience because he gives them a chance not to go there. Here's a little more of him describing his practice and how he works his magic. Let me back this up. Here we go.
We'll go to a prosecutor, and this is where it comes in with the FBI and my connection to the FBI and prosecutors, U.S. attorneys. I'll go to them at that hundreds and hundreds of times. I'll go to them and say, listen, you're prosecuting an innocent person. You need to get rid of these false charges, or we're going to start publishing on this. And by publishing, I'm basically telling them they're going to ruin their life. So, what most people have never understood is that all these crooks in government, they all have private lives. None of them care what goes on inside those offices.
Okay, let me get the next clip, but again, let me recap what he just said. He said that this is how it comes to when he goes to destroy a prosecutor or a judge or his connections with the FBI. He says that he'll go to the person and he'll tell them, hey, you're prosecuting an innocent person, and if you continue, I'm going to publish all this, meaning what he has collected on that person, and he's going to make it public and he's going to destroy you with it. So that's what he does. And so you can take that practice and apply it to how he gets his way when he demands these individuals, these public officials, to do what he wants. So that's what he's explaining right there. And let me get this next clip, and he goes a little bit deeper. Oh, he also said that, that's what happens. He said these government officials don't care what happens in the office, but they sure do care about what happens in their home. And so that's like if they pull up, get home from work and little Johnny from up the street comes running up to him and says, hey, I can't hang out with your son anymore because my dad said your dad's a crook and I can't hang out with you anymore. So he's explaining how his information that he ends up, digging up and uses to threaten somebody with exposing him with it. That's how he controls people, and he can start spreading gossip and spreading rumors around the person's neighborhood and start getting people to hate that person or to think that person is bad. So that's what this man does. Okay? Here's another one.
The courtrooms, but they sure as hell care what goes on in public when their neighbors
He just said they sure as hell care what goes on in public with the neighbors.
are coming home saying, boy, Johnny said that you're a crook.
When they come home and the neighbor's kid says, hey, Johnny says that you're a crook.
They won't, because their parents won't let me hang around.
Their parents won't let me hang around you anymore.
With me anymore because my dad's locking up innocent people.
Because my dad says that you're locking up innocent people.
Or my dad did this or that.
Or my dad did this or that.
That's the court out here in the public is how I've run 4,200 cases.
He just said the court out here in the public is how I've won 4,200 cases.
Or the threat of that force.
Or the threat of that force.
Anymore, I call up a prosecutor generally today, and it's far different than it was 15, 20 years ago.
He just said, anymore today, I'll call up a prosecutor or a judge, and it's far different than it was 25 years ago. Because today,
have to go through the process of beating the hell out of them.
I don't have to go through the process of beating the hell out of them to get what he wants them to do. So there you go. You just heard for your own ears the business practices of what the U.S. Observer, Ed Snook, what he does. Okay? That's the difference between him now applying this entire work process, the way he runs his business. Like I said, he usually goes after judges, prosecutors, those kind of people that he's hired to basically blackmail. Okay? That's how he controls people. So here I came along. He turned against me. And he went to the FBI that were investigating around Charles's case. He heard what the FBI said about me and Charles. And he was most likely told not to take this case and expose the corruption around Charles, of course, because the FBI is working against Charles, and Snook had a meeting with the FBI. And so that's when he changed against me. Snook thought that I would be easy to get rid of, so all he had to do was tell the mother of Charles Dyer bad things about me, because he already knew that Mrs. Dyer had a problem with me, and her support group all had very big problems with me. And so there was already that bad vibe about Mrs. Dyer, and so she wasn't happy with my involvement and her son's support. So I still hired Ed Snook after post-conviction, brought him in. I gave him a list of all my enemies like he asked me to do, and I let him know in the very beginning Mrs. Dyer had a problem with me. But I trusted he was going to never use that against me, but that's what he did. So he takes his entire work process that he does to public officials, and he reversed it, and he started coming after me. That's what this has been all about. The same level, probably even worse, but the same level of these tactics that he uses against someone that he wants to control, that's usually a powerful judge or a powerful prosecutor. He applied those kind of tactics in my personal life. That's how he's gotten all these people around me to cooperate. What makes me or you consider the fact, how crazy does that sound? It is crazy. But if he does this to judges, to prosecutors, to politicians, if he does it to those kind of people and threatens those kind of individuals, what makes it so crazy of a reality check here to realize that's what he's done to me in my life? That's how he's gotten people in my personal life to work against me or to keep their mouth shut, because he threatens people. That's what his number one tool is the threat of his newspaper. You just heard him say it. The threat of being published and exposed, whatever dirt he was able to find on people, he uses that as his power of exposure. That's what he does. That's what he's done to me, and he's still doing to me. That's how he's gotten people in my life, neighbors included, to work against me and to go along with whatever he's demanding for them to go along with. That's what this is all about. It's very crazy, but this kind of stuff obviously happens all the time to politicians. That's why we have such a corrupt government today, because they blackmail each other. They find ways to compromise each other, and then they use that as their power to force that person to do whatever they want. And so apply that to my situation. That's what's been going on. Okay? And we'll get to the next part of this very interesting, hopefully you're learning some stuff, a very interesting story. So stay tuned for the next part, and I'll finish sharing the information about the armed manhunt and